Well, the amazing food, the amazing history of how the Europeans came over, especially the Spanish and the Portuguese, and just destroyed the original culture, the Indianos, the original inhabitants. But out of that chaos came amazing civilizations, and today all of South America, Central America, and Mexico is unequaled around the world for culture, food, history. There's a lot. Well, we are very lucky because all of us are healthy, strong. We're looking to go back out on tour and do another 100 cities around the world. But the important thing is to be honest with your fans, to tell the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth. And there are some wonderful stories. And then there are some sad stories about members with drugs and alcohol and some bad times, good times and bad times. And the most important thing we owe to the fans is the truth. And Kisstory tells the whole story of the history, the Kisstory of the band, but it also tells you the truth, all of it, the good truth and the bad truth. I've never used drugs. I've never smoked cigarettes, but I have a big ego, and I know that. And so one of the things is to try to control that, because I was an only child. I didn't have brothers or sisters. And so the only thing I could do was look in the mirror and look at myself. And when you look in the mirror, you only have yourself to look at. So it's easy to forget that it takes a team. It always takes a team, and it's not just all you. And if Paul wasn't here, I wouldn't be here. And I think he feels the same way about me. But sometimes in a car, you get flat tires. And what you have to do when you get a flat tire is to change the flat tire. Otherwise, the whole car stops. Kisstory and A&E decided to do something a little different. So it's not just sugar-coated. It's not sweet and roses and all that. We wanted to show you that any journey that you take that takes a long time is going to have a lot of bumps on the road. That's just life. Life is not just the good times, it's also part of the bad times. So the honesty of Kisstory is something we're very proud of, even the bad times. And as you may know, we had a reality show called Gene Simmons Family Jewels on A&E around the world that was shown for 8 years and had 167 episodes about my family and my world. So we have a long history with A&E. I didn't want to watch it because I didn't want to control it. Paul also, we tried to stay away from it because when you tell the truth, sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to sit there and hear things about yourself. So Kisstory is like that. When you take the makeup off, who are the real people under that? And it took us many, many decades not to show the real us. Somebody said to me once that when you see strippers on stage, they don't walk out naked. Well, there's an amazing story about Ace, who I didn't see for years. And then he showed up and we had lunch at a hotel in Beverly Hills, and he wanted to read me something he wrote, because he wrote a book. And in the book, he was telling me, this is what happened, and you saved my life, Gene. And he's writing what he remembers. And I said, that's fantastic, and thank you for writing that, but it's only 99% true. He said, 99%? Why isn't it 100% true? I said, well, it's true everything you said, except it didn't happen to you. You were passed out. It happened to Peter Criss. Well, love is a strange thing. You can be in love with a country, a woman. There's something strange about KISS. It started off as a band and it became a family that you're not born into. It's easy to love your family because it's your blood. But with KISS, like most families, there were arguments. People argued, some people were healthy, some people were not healthy. But you have to remember that for the whole history of the band, even with the bad times, there will always be family. Ace and Peter will always be family, and without them, we wouldn't be here. But if they were here today, there would be no KISS. But you have to remember, at the end of the day, it is about family, and a band is a family. I spend more time being in the band on the road than I do with my own family. We were very smart. We stayed away from people. We didn't want anybody to get sick, and we didn't want to get sick. I know in Brazil especially, it's a big problema. Politics gets in the way of science, and then you have a lot of crap. There are people dying. It's very serious. Please get vaccinated. Please get 2 shots. You must do this, not just for yourself, but because there are other people who may die because some politician told you it's fake. Politicians are idiots. Listen to the scientists and the doctors, please. So the world is still not safe, but it's safer than it was in the pandemic. So we're going to go out there and be very careful. Everybody on the tour, our road crew, our backstage, the food, everybody backstage, they're all going to be wearing masks, and they're all going to be washing their hands for 20 or 30 seconds, if anything. And we urge everybody who comes to our concerts, please get vaccinated. In fact, we have the KISS cruise coming up, and we're going to go into the Bahamas and Belize and places like that. It's already sold out, but you can't get on the boat unless you've been vaccinated. You know, the world has lots of problemas. There's crime and drugs and violence and even small wars. I hope when you come to see KISS that you will forget about the problems of the world. Like electric church, when you go to church, you forget about the problems outside, even the traffic, or the girlfriend is screaming because you're looking at the other girls. All those problems, we hope you forget about when you come to see our concerts. We hope it's magic time. And we hope that every single concert we will ever play stays true to how we introduce ourselves. You wanted the best, you got the best. The hottest band in the world, KISS. And we want to make those words mean something every show we play. The only thing that matters is when the fans come to the show, do they have a great time? That's the only thing that matters. The only thing that matters is, do we make people's lives just a little bit better? That's the only thing that matters. People can sit down and write, they're a capitalist band, they're a communist band, they're from Mars, they're from Venus. I don't care. And for people who have problems with capitalism, it's the only system that we know that works. Yes, some people get much richer than other people. There's no question about that. But some people are smarter than other people. It's the only system that seems to work. Maybe there's a better system, but we haven't found it. People have to charge you for something, the work they do. And if you want what they have to offer, whether it's food or buildings or concerts, you have to pay for it. That's the way to do it. Even the church is very nice, talk to God. Even God passes the hat. You want to go to church? You got to pay for it. That's capitalism. The last show we're going to do, I know I'm going to cry like a 12-year-old girl. You never forget your first kiss, the first girl you ever kissed, or the first time you were in bed with somebody, or, you know, those things. I would go back and relive that first tour when every city was new and every concert was new and everything was, your eyes were, you know, wide open because you didn't want to miss anything. Everything was brand new. You met new people, new places to go. It's unbelievable. First time we went through Mexico, Central America, and South America was unbelievable. We were never there, so it was very, very exciting. We have a Netflix movie coming next year, which is with actors and great directors. The director who directed the last Pirates of the Caribbean and is directing the next Pirates of the Caribbean, you know, with Johnny Depp and all that. And yes. I know Johnny, he's a friend. He's directing our movie. Yeah. So that's going to be a big, big movie. The project is going to be about the 4 people from New York City who got together. Ace Frehley, Peter Criss, Paul Stanley, Gene Simmons, about how New York was the beginning of something called the glitter scene. Out of New York came the New York Dolls and the Ramones and bands like that. None of them really became big bands. There are no New York bands that became big bands. There's only KISS. But the movement, the culture was an important thing. So we came from that culture that became Studio 54 and all the disco stuff and all that, but we were a rock band in New York City. So it's the story of how 4 completely different people got together and put together the band we never saw on stage. Ace used to deliver liquor at a liquor store. Peter didn't work for a living. His wife supported him. Paul was a cab driver, and I worked for the Boricuas, the Puerto Riqueño Interagency Council. I was the assistant to the director. And at that office, I put together the bio kit that was sent out to everybody after work. So I would open the office and I would close it. So all of us came from completely different backgrounds, and how we got together is amazing even to this day. A lot of wonderful talent out there. I think Billie Eilish is very good. There's a lot of very good stuff. And I love a lot of the new music that's coming out of Mexico, Central America, and South America. I always like Juanes, El Tigres del Norte. There's a lot of very good material that's coming up. The biggest problema is that television shows make you think that the only thing you have to do is to sing in the shower. Just because you can sing in the shower, that you can be creative or an artist. That's one problem. The second problem is that technology gets in the way of real talent, people who actually write songs. And we all love rap and everything, but there are no musicians there. It's the producers. They don't play instruments, and they barely sing. It's a different kind of art form. It's more like poetry. And the reason there are no more Beatles or Stones or maybe KISS is because the old way, you had to go and tour 2 or 3 years before anybody took you seriously. And now you can just be on TV and you're there. You have to go to the gym. You have to go almost every day. You have to climb mountains. You have to stop eating cake. I love cake. I love cookies and cake. And that's my biggest problem. And so sugar, cake, chocolates, just that's the biggest problem. And so the only way, and by the way, the important thing is if you don't drink, if you don't use drugs, if you don't smoke cigarettes, you can be 71 years old and put your hand in front of your face and it's not going to shake. See, you can do that. You can literally put your hand in front of your face and it stays still. Healthy mind, healthy body, everything works. Down there works, up here works, your brain works, good blood. And when you get up on stage, you rock. There's so many people who die young because they put crap in their body. It's like a car. If you put sand in the gas, the car will die. Don't put sand in your veins. Don't put bad stuff in your body. Drugs and alcohol. That's the biggest enemy on earth. The biggest enemy is that your children and your friends and your girlfriends and boyfriends are using drugs and alcohol. That's the biggest problem. And of course, you have cartels and violence and money and all that stuff. And if people stop, your heart starts to slowly die. Don't ever stop. As long as you're alive, keep moving. All of us get inspired by people. And in some ways, we inspire other people, all of us. So I've had in my life is my mother. My mother lived to be 93 years old. When she was 14 years old, she was in the concentration camps of Nazi Germany. And because she had such a bad time, our whole family was killed in the concentration camps. I never thought I had the right to break my mother's heart by smoking or drinking or getting high or getting in trouble or jail. I couldn't see hurting my mother. And she's the reason why I went down a straight path. Even today, when I do something, would my mother be ashamed of that? That's something that keeps me going straight. And you out there who thought that your mother didn't know what she's talking about, that your friends are cool, no, they're not. They're idiots. Your mother always told you the truth. Eat your vegetables, get plenty of rest, don't use drugs, don't. She's right. All your idiot friends are assholes, and you should get them out of the way and listen to your mother today. She's always right. Who else would give her life for you? Who else would give their life for you? Your friend? No, only your mother. And inspiration, when I first came to America, because I wasn't born there, I landed here with my mother because my father, of course, left our family. He ran out. So I was about 8 years old and I couldn't speak English. I could speak a little Turkish, Hebrew, Hungarian, not a word of English. The two most important moments are the birth of a baby and then at the end. It's the beginning is always the most important thing. Do you have the right heart? Do you have the commitment? Do you believe in it? Without believing in it, you're never going to go anywhere. So the most important moment is always the beginning. The most important moment of the next concert we're going to do is the beginning of the concert. You have to believe in yourself first. The most important moment for a boxer is before you get into the ring to box. You have to believe that you're going to be the champion before you start boxing. When you start boxing, if you don't believe it, it's too late. Most important point is always before. When you see a beautiful girl and you want to be, it's always the beginning. That's the most important thing. The worst moments were, unfortunately, when we realized that you can't drive a car with two flat tires. The saddest and the worst times was realizing that the original four members were not going to go for the whole journey, that we had to get divorced from Ace and Peter three times. And we brought Ace and Peter back and we loved them. They're always going to be a part of the family. They were out of the band 3 times. We brought them back 3 times and it still didn't work. And that's the saddest part. The saddest part is that now we're approaching almost 50 years afterwards. They're not here to enjoy the big success. That's the saddest thing. And we asked both Ace and Peter, I called them up. I said, the documentary is coming up. Do you want to be in the documentary? And both said no. And I asked both of them, do you want to come out on tour, play a few songs? They said no. That's sad. We were much younger. And in 1982, I think, or 1981, we played Maracanã, Brazil. And then we played Sao Paulo and Belo Horizonte. But at that time, we had lost Ace. Ace was no longer in the band. But I remember looking out at the stadium, the biggest stadium in the world, and not really understanding how many people there were there. It's like 4 times bigger than any stadium in the world. And if I could relive anything, I would like to keep playing Rio, that stadium, every night, every show. It was the most amazing thing we ever saw. It felt like we were playing for the earth. So big. We have so many songs and so many albums. Anything's possible. We're going to put in more songs from the 80s and 90s. But the place maybe for the solo stuff is I have a side band, the Gene Simmons Band. And we've gone through South America a little bit, a few shows. And that's where I play obscure stuff. And it's possible to play there. But I'm not sure KISS is the right place for those songs. Maybe KISS is more about, they want to hear I Was Made for Loving You. They want to hear Love Gun. You know, they want to hear the songs that they grew up with. And that's what we're going to do. I remember going to Maracanã in a tank. The army put us in tanks and armored vehicles, and the military was our escort because you had something like, I don't know, 200,000 people at the stadium. So on the way there, they closed all the streets. It was almost like El Presidente coming down the street, and there was no cars, and there were police and military and helicopters overhead. It's like a movie, like Fast and Furious. And we're going down the street like a military parade with nobody on the street, people looking out the windows, what's going on. And we were looking out of the small holes inside of the military trucks to see what's going on.
Adios, compadres.